So let's chat about delegation. So let's go to the rental business, right? I think that's the one where this kind of all started for us when we started like this idea of delegation and product managing. And so everything from managing tenants, the first thing you do to manage a tenant though is you have to find tenants and you have to screen them, and then of course you have to manage them. And so we just went through a process where we created videos, right? Like screen sharing videos of how do you go and you find tenants? What's the ads? What's the copy? What do you say? To get people to say, hey, I want to rent your place. And then after you do that, well, then once they raise their hand, they say, I want to rent your place. Like, what is the process like for them to application? And then what are you looking for on that application? And then what do you say to them to qualify them all the way to the point where
we rent them the house.
We rent them the house, right? And then we can actually start managing them. So, Katie, what was kind of your experience with doing that? And like, honestly, why did we do it?
Yeah, so I think we need to talk about how we got to even the place where we could do this. So we've made a video about this before, but our first rental property, we had no idea what we were doing. We bought a property, we were painting the interior, we had just had a baby, and we had no idea how to manage it. So we bought a book and we listened to this book by Brandon Turner. It was How to Manage Rental Properties. And he gave us the blueprint that we still use today on how to manage properties. So little did I know, I created a system. So the first time that you do something, it's not necessarily the best time, but when you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, you create a system. And when your system is consistent, it's easy to delegate. So this time around, I literally, every single step of the process, I made a video about, as well as why I do what I do. And if there's documentation that goes with it, we created a link as well in this Google Doc. So not only are you explained as to why we're doing what we're doing in the process of renting a property, but also any documentation, a lease, move-in checklists, even the application on the front end that they fill out, and what criteria we need for them to meet our minimum standards to even be qualified for the next round. So yeah, it was basically me going back in and figuring out why I did what I did. Thank you, Brandon Turner, and making videos on it.
Yeah. So if you guys ever heard that book, Managing Property Rental Properties by Brandon Turner, we basically did that book, but we created a document with walkthrough videos on exactly how to do that.
It's like the Cliff Notes version.
It's literally like the Cliff Notes of like, here, if you don't read the book, you just want to follow the steps. That's what Katie made, right? And it's fire. It's good. And so, curious, like, would anyone want that? Would anyone want to have that? Just like, if you want access to that property management videos, those Cliff Notes, those how-to, everything from finding tenants, screening tenants, to managing tenants, let me know. I'm like genuinely curious if people would want access to that. And then we also have short-term rentals, right? And so you did this very same process with our short-term rentals, correct?
Yes.
So walk me through that process.
Yeah. So short-term rentals are kind of, they're not as streamlined as long-term rentals because there's a lot more action going on throughout all of them. So I basically made a script for, we're going to delegate this to our VA, and I made a script basically saying, if they don't, how to respond to the tenant who's going to book your place. If they don't tell you why they're coming to downtown, you ask them why they're coming to town. If they do tell you why they're coming to town, you comment about their trip, what they're coming for, and then you let them know that you're going to send check-in information on a specific date. If there is any questions that they have during their stay, those will be learned as time processes, and we will definitely create scripts that go on those responses. But then at the end, we send a checkout message to make sure it's automated. The checkout message is automated, and then if there's a response, we always just make sure that we respond back. We also so it's the VA's responsibility to actually schedule a cleaning on the cleaning company's schedule every time that an Airbnb books. So there's a few things that we've systematized and we've put into a process that helps delegation become easy.
Yeah. And so it's funny because we have a VA doing all those things, right? How much does that VA make?
$150 a week.
$150 a week, which is what, $600 a month. Okay. Now I want you to think about this. This is why this is so freaking important. For $600 a month, you can have someone manage your whole portfolio of real estate, your whole portfolio of, which includes long-term rentals and short-term rentals, right? You know how much property managers charge for their service? Do you know how much they charge?
If you get a good deal, as low as 6%, most 8 to 10.
Let's just call it 10% for easy math, which means that if you have a property that generates $2,000 of revenue, keep in mind they do it based on the gross, not the net. So if you have a property that rents out for $2,000 a month at 10%, how much are they taking every single month?
$200.
$200, which means that after 3 properties, that would equal to our $600, right? Do we have more than 3 properties?
Yes.
Do we have a lot more than 3 properties?
Yes.
So that's for long-term rentals, right? And that also doesn't include, you know what they charge you for? So I don't know if you guys know this, but property managers, not only do they charge you 10%, but they also charge you an activation fee. So like when you sign up, they'll, like when they get ready to do a property, they'll charge like $500 just to fill a property. Mm-hmm. And then if they turn it over, they'll charge you fees on top of that. And here's actually the kicker. Here's where they actually make their money. Tenant calls and says, hey, I have an issue with my garbage disposal. I have an issue with my dishwasher. Like, they don't call you because you hired a property manager. They call a property manager. The property manager, they call a handyman, right? And they bill, and the handyman bills them at $50 an hour. But guess what? You get paid as a homeowner, as a landlord.
What?
You pay $100 an hour. So they make $50 an hour just by connecting that person, which is like fair, right? That's fair. That's part of their job. But you just paid an extra $50 an hour because you didn't want to handle a phone call. Which, how hard is that? Is it hard?
No.
It's not really not that hard. And so that is like, if you just understand property management, it's not that freaking hard. People who never manage properties, they're always the ones who say like, you don't want to get a job. I didn't get into real estate to get a job. Did you get into real estate to get a job?
No. I got in real estate to get out of a job. Right.
And so ultimately, but there's also phases. There's also seasons in life. Okay. The season is you got to understand how the business works. So you have to actually do the job for a period of time. So you understand how freaking easy it is. It's not difficult. It's literally the simplest job on the planet. Right. And so I am going to tell you, if you're in real estate, unless you have a business that does so much freaking money that real estate is truly just like you're just storing money, I suggest that you get into real estate and you actually are hands-on for a period of time. Take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. For a short period of time, get your hands dirty, do the job, just so you have an understanding of it, so you realize how freaking easy it is. Mm-hmm. So then you can have someone on your team actually handle the job description of managing the freaking properties, whether it be short-term or long-term, right? We haven't talked about short-term yet. We'll talk about short-term soon. Let's talk about long-term right now, because long-term is like so freaking easy. Okay. What are some of the biggest issues you've ever had? Okay, as a long-term property manager.
Yeah, long-term property management. We have had one instance that comes to mind. We had a flood it was a 3-story building, and 3rd story flooded and got dripped all the way down to the basement.
Yeah.
It really honestly was not that big of a deal though. I got a phone call. The tenant was not very bright, asked me a few questions and said, I didn't know who to call. Like, it's been running all night and I didn't know who to call. So I ended up calling you, and I'm like, that's great. Next time, just call me right away when something happens. We got a restoration company over there right away. They dried everything out. We filed an insurance claim and it was all repaired. We paid what is the payment that you make to the insurance company? I'm not blanking it.
I mean, you make to an insurance company?
Yeah, the minimum that you have to make.
The deductible?
The deductible. Thank you. We paid the deductible and everything was fixed. It took some time. It took a little bit of attention, but honestly, that's like as bad as it gets.
Yeah. Well, but did you go in there and did you redo the bathroom? Did you mitigate the water damage?
No, I was the connector. I was the one getting paid to basically connect my handyman, the restoration company, the insurance company to the issue.
Got it. And how much time did it actually take you, that whole process?
Probably 5 hours total.
5 hours total. And did it cost you anything? Did it cost us anything?
The deductible.
How much was the deductible?
I don't even remember. $500.
$500, right? And the overall bill was how much?
15,000.
Yeah. So number one, benefit of having insurance. Thank you, insurance. But the second piece of that, like the biggest disaster that we had, a $15,000 water damage, 3rd story toilet flooded all the way down to the basement. It took about 5 hours of work, right? So like if you're gonna get bent out of shape over 5 hours of work, get out of here. Like, just get out of here. Like, I just have no sympathy, right? And at the end of the day, now in the situation that would happen, like, do we have someone in place that would be able to handle that? And maybe it takes you 1 to 2 hours. Maybe you just have to consult that person and tell them what to do now, right? And so ultimately, like, that's the beauty of delegation, is you understand the process and then you're able to delegate to that person.
Yeah, this is also important to understand the process, because if and when you do actually hire a property management company, or you train a VA to be your property management company, you need to be able to communicate what your expectations are from them. And if you personally cannot solve a problem, how can you expect them to solve a problem? That is the only time that tenants call you, is if they have a problem. And it's really not, I mean, problems arise every single day. Like, it's how you handle that problem, and you become solution oriented and you find the solution. But I think it's ridiculous to be able to set an expectation of somebody else to find a solution when you emotionally are like, I can't handle it. It's not for me. I can't find a solution. Like, how can you expect someone else to find a solution if you're bent out of shape over it?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's important for you to do the do first, have a general understanding of it. And then, of course, you're always going to run into issues that you never have done. But at least that when you're in it, you can at least have a sense of understanding of here's what needs to get done.
Yeah. Well, and understanding the process as well. Like, looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened, because now, next time it does happen, like, I know exactly how to handle the situation. The first time, it's always a little bit intimidating. It's always a little bit scary. But like, if you can just document everything that you do and create a system out of it, like, it sets you up for success for the next time it's going to happen. Because it does happen. Like, it really does happen. And it's just a matter of time before the next time happens.
It's not a matter if, it's just a matter